Hello everyone, welcome back to 80Million. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest transfers around your Premier League clubs. Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, Newcastle, Everton. All your Premier League clubs are still in the market, at least for one more signing, apart from Man United, who want to sign 5 more players, 5 more signings before the end of the transfer window. That is absolutely crazy and mad, given the fact that they have less than 2 weeks to do that. But given the situation in which they are, they definitely need more than 5. So we're going to be diving into each and every story around each and every club. In the comment section below, the conversation is: which one player do you think your Premier League side should sign before the window closes? Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Manchester City. Talk to me in the comments below. Which player does your side or does your Premier League club need desperately before we can close the door on the first day of September? Now, let's start off with Man United. As I've reported, they want 5 signings before the window closes. They have already had a frustrating transfer summer. They've tried to get Frenkie de Jong through the door. I think for the better part of the transfer summer, he was their priority. And you understand, Erik ten Hag coming in, he wanted a player he understands. He wanted a midfielder that was really going to do the job for him. Frenkie de Jong, according to Erik ten Hag in his own words, he's one of the best in that role. He's one of the best central midfielders the world has ever seen. So they've tried to sign him. £85 million is the deal that was agreed between them and Barcelona. And now they failed to agree personal terms with Frenkie. Now it looks like they moved on to CASEMIRO. He's the guy they will be trying to sign. £80 million is what Real Madrid will receive. That is if they can agree to the deal. And £200,000 per week is what CASEMIRO will be earning in terms of wages at Manchester United. Now, personally, I believe CASEMIRO is a good player. If Man United can't get him through the door, that is a wonderful signing. They need a defensive midfielder. It's not a problem that has just come up. It's been there for some time. They've always needed a defensive midfielder, and CASEMIRO, given the fact that he has experience, the pedigree, that guy, the kind of guy that has lived the experience, and also a player that comes from a winning background, the mentality will be right, the attitude will be right, and the fact that they have Rafael Varane and Ronaldo in the team, they've got them from Real Madrid. Literally, Ronaldo didn't come from Madrid, but he's been there with CASEMIRO. It only makes more sense. But can they get the deal done? Can Real Madrid agree to sell CASEMIRO? Of course, Madrid have Aurelien Tchouameni and Eduardo Camavinga, so probably that could be a factor for letting CASEMIRO go. We know Madrid, if you bring in the right money, they never stand in the way of a player, especially if a player has decided that they will actually move on. But CASEMIRO is reportedly very close to agreeing personal terms with Manchester United. That is not a very bad start to a transfer of such a huge talent, given the fact that they failed to agree personal terms with Frenkie de Jong. So if they can agree personal terms with CASEMIRO by doubling his wages up to £200,000 per week, it's a bit exorbitant, but I think they do not have any other option to do. Without Champions League and without winning any titles in the previous years, the club is on a decline. They will need enormous wages. They will need to offer enormous contracts, huge contracts to players in order to get them through the door. So CASEMIRO is one player they're looking at, and they're hoping they can complete that signing before the window closes down. Just like I've said, the other player they will look at in the central midfield as a reinforcement is Serge Milinkovic-Savic. Now, Serge Milinkovic-Savic has been linked with Manchester United for the better part of the last 5 years. Every window, they wanted him. They wanted to sign him. But it looks like Lazio have never been prepared to sell Serge Milinkovic-Savic until this summer. Now, they're asking for a very hefty price, around £50 million. Manchester United look like they do not have any other option but to pay such huge amounts of money. Savic is a very, very advanced player, very, very good central midfielder. He's going to score for you goals. He's going to create for you chances. And I think where Paul Pogba leaves, Serge Milinkovic-Savic will be the player to take on that box-to-box role. I think they need him, personally. I feel they do not have anyone with an engine. They do not have anyone with a creative ability and the creative mind like Serge Milinkovic-Savic. They do have Bruno Fernandes, but if you look at when you look back on when Bruno Fernandes last had a very good game or a decent game, it is quite a very, very long time. So Serge Milinkovic-Savic and CASEMIRO could be very good additions to Manchester United, but can they get them through the door? That would be 130 million pounds spent on those two. Good signings, but they will take a lot of time. Now, in the other signings and in the other transfer rumors around Man United, they're also trying to sign a new striker. They have inquired about the availability of Moussa Dembele at Lyon. Lyon have always wanted to sell Moussa Dembele if a good offer comes in. So we are waiting to see if Man United will make any official bids for Moussa Dembele, and more transfer stories and more transfer rumors are around Man United, including the fact that Elon Musk wants to buy them. That is not good. That is literally not good, because you do not want a scandalous man like Elon Musk buying Man United from scandalous glazes. I hope I make my point clear. Now, moving on to Manchester City, Bernardo Silva has always been in the news and in the highlights around his future. I think his future hangs in balance. Barcelona have always been troubling him and disturbing him. They want to sign him this summer. Xavi really rates Bernardo Silva, but that will depend on whether they can move Frankie de Jong on. Now, things look very, very unlikely for Frankie de Jong to move on. Chelsea have cooled their interest in him, and Man United yesterday officially withdrew their official proposal for the player. Bernardo Silva, however, does not lack interest from other European clubs, including now PSG. Now, according to rumors, PSG have tabled a 59 million pound bid for Bernardo Silva. Manchester City are not prepared to sell, as they feel the player is 100% important to Pep Guardiola's project, but also Manchester City are not a club that are going to stand in the way of a player who wants to go. We've seen it with Zinchenko, we've seen it with Gabriel Jesus and the likes of Ferran Torres. If you want to leave, then they will definitely give you a very easy exit. But with Bernardo Silva, I think Manchester City will have to lower their standards and just plead with the player to stay. I don't see how they replace him in this summer. It is only 2 weeks. It is only 2 weeks left to go. To close the window. I don't see how they get a good replacement for Bernardo Silva. And although Ike Gundogan has really started off very well, and we know the amount of quality he gives Pep Guardiola in that area, alongside Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva is arguably the Premier League's best midfielder last campaign. So they need him, and if they were to move him on, in my opinion, it should have happened a little bit better. There are also also rumors that he will be staying at Manchester City. There is that kind of confidence in the Manchester City camp that he will be staying, but if he moves on, then it will not be a very big surprise. PSG are having a rebuild right now. They're trying to clear out the deadwood and they're trying to bring in players that are actually young, experienced, and will actually, maybe lead them to the charge to the UEFA Champions League. I mean, it will depend on how lucky they are. Bernardo Silva is one of them. They've already signed the likes of Renato Sanchez and Vitinha from FC Porto. So it remains to be seen if Bernardo Silva will move to PSG. They have tabled a 59 million pound deal. Will Manchester City accept it? Will Manchester City refuse it? It remains to be seen. And does Bernardo Silva really want to play at PSG next season? There is a huge question. Arsenal are still in the market for a new winger. Nicolas Pepe is very close, reportedly, to going back to France. Nice is the club interested in signing the Ivorian. Now, it looks like Arsenal do not have any offers for a permanent move for Nicolas Pepe. They'll have to settle for at least a season-long loan deal, and then they can move him on next summer, probably on a permanent, if he does well in France. Now, Nice do not want to pay the wages of Nicolas Pepe, and that means Arsenal will have to pay at least the better half of his wages if he's going to be going out to Nice. Now, they want to replace him. They're desperate to get in a new winger. They need fresh legs. They need fresh blood. And they need someone who can be a kind of an upgrade to Nicola Pepe. This is where Pedro Neto of Wolverhampton Wanderers is coming through the news stories, with Fabrizio Romano, the most credible journalist in the transfer world, confirming that Arsenal will be trying to sign Pedro Neto in the coming days. Wolverhampton Wanderers are looking at around 50 to 65 million pounds in the young Portuguese winger, and they're saying they're willing to sell, they're prepared to sell if the right offer comes through. Now, Chelsea, Man United, and Arsenal are all interested. However, at the moment, we can confirm that Arsenal are the club leading the rest. The question with Pedro Neto is, how much are Arsenal willing to pay? How much is Wolves willing to get? And also, is Pedro Neto ready for another next step from Wolverhampton Wanderers to a team like Arsenal that are going to be challenging at a very high level in the in the Europa League, at least for now, and also in the Premier League, where we expect Liverpool to be slipping and Manchester City and Arsenal could be the new guns at the top. I'm kidding about that. But moving on, we are also talking about Chelsea. They are looking to sign Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They've already sent in a 27 million euro offer to FC Barcelona for the 33-year-old. The market is crazy. The market is absolutely crazy. 27 million euros for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. It is not an absolute steal from Chelsea, but it is an absolute steal from FC Barcelona. But anyway, Chelsea do need a striker. We've seen it in their last game against Tottenham Hotspur. They should have scored more than 4 goals in that game, but they didn't have a clinical finisher. Thomas Tuchel has worked with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, so the issues of discipline and attitude do not actually really work with them, because the time they served together at Borussia Dortmund, the player was in perfect shape and perfect attitude. So it looks like Chelsea are willing to splash the cash on the Gabonese striker. It will depend on what Barcelona are going to be asking for. At the moment, Barca want more than 30 million euros and Chelsea want to spend slightly less than that. But in my opinion, they will come to a consensus. They will come to an agreement on that one, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang will be wearing the Blues, the blue kit. I mean, playing for the Blues at the Stamford Bridge, it doesn't really make any news. Arsenal fans will be looking for, will be looking up to a challenge from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now that they have Gabriel Jesus, will Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang score more goals than Gabriel Jesus in that flying Chelsea side? Because Arsenal currently look like they are flying. They're joint top with Manchester City on the same number of points and the same number of goals scored this campaign. The only difference is the goal difference. And if Arsenal can score more goals against Bournemouth this weekend, they can definitely surpass and overtake Manchester City's record this campaign and go on top of the table. And finally, we are talking about Fofana as well. Chelsea have agreed personal terms with Wesley Fofana at Leicester City. The question now is, can they agree a deal with Leicester City? There are 2 things to consider here. Leicester City do not want to sell, first and foremost, and if you're going to sell, they're going to sell at a very expensive price. Now, they want more than 100 million pounds for the young, I don't know where he comes from. Does he come from France? I mean, I think it does come from France. So they want more than 100 pounds for him, 100 million pounds for him. Chelsea have already tabled in an 80 million pound deal and also a 70 million pound deals, but all those ones have been rejected by Leicester City. What will happen with Wesley Fofana? I think Chelsea really need a decent centre back to add to Kalidou Koulibaly, Trevor Chalobah, and Thiago Silva. The moment they can get Fofana out of the door, their defensive problems will be sorted out. They will need a central midfielder, or at least a defensive midfielder, but that is not now. With Kovacic, Jorginho, Conte already in that midfield, I don't think they will be desperately in need of one. Probably one player they will need is a clinical striker. With Romelu Lukaku now at Inter Milan, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang looks like the next striker at Chelsea. So if they can get that done, they will be okay to go. In the other transfer news, of course, you will know that Wolves have signed Matthias Nunes from Sporting Lisbon for a club record fee of 50 million pounds. Yeah, it doesn't make any news unless he comes in and becomes the best midfielder in the league. Can that happen with Kevin De Bruyne already in the league? I don't think that's going to be very possible. But any clubs interested in Cody Gakpo, he will be available next week. And also, we are waiting for a very huge update from the Yeremy Pino camp. See you next week.